My name is Martin Mittman, and I'm married. My wife's name is Kathy. We have 2 children and 4 grandchildren, and we attended this church for almost 60 years. And what I'd just like to share with you is the great joy that we experience when we, with gathering together in a worship service with God's people. And it's not just that for that moment, but it is all kinds of things come out of that. I was born in West Prussia, which was a German province before the war, and right now it all belongs to Poland. My grandparents were born in Russia, the old Ukraine that used to be part of the Russian Empire. My parents were born there, and because of the war and all of that, jumping here quite a bit, we were left basically destitute. We had to leave. When the Russian army advanced in 1945, we had to leave our home, and we packed all we could on a wagon put 2 horses to it, threw a carpet over it to make a kind of a prairie schooner out of it, and we had to leave everything behind. The whole goal was to get to the West, but and then disaster struck as we were living under the Russian occupation. Both of my parents died, and we were left, myself, and I got 2 younger sisters, and we had to live under the Russian occupation till we got out of there in 1947. That was in 45. Well, at the end of 45, times were tough. There was no food. Diseases broke out. And my mother died because of that. My father was he was in the German army, and he worked, because he was a farm boy, he worked with a medic, a doctor, evacuating the wounded people from the battlefields. But somewhere at the end of 45, we lost all contact with him. And to this very day, we had no idea where he is and where he was. The last contact we had was from Riga, which is the capital of Latvia. And after that, we don't know anything. So there we were with our grandparents. But Grandpa, being born in Russia, somehow he tied up, we got to be the interpreter between the German people and the Russian commander there. And so he gave us permission to get out of there in 1947, finally. Then we got to the West. And before all of that, my mother's brother immigrated to the United States in 1923, allowed us to come to the United States, but not only that, he had adopted us, my 2 younger sisters and myself, into his family, and he already had a family of two daughters. But anyway, so if I mention my dad, that was my dad from that time forward, which is in 1952. So anyway, back to the why on earth are we in church and God's dealing with us? Because the greatest joy is to serve God and be with his people. It's been tremendous joys to me. And we experienced that all the time. There was no option in our family not to go to church. The whole family went to church every Sunday when we were at home. It just had to be. And then the joys, what joys can you pick out of church service being in God's presence with God's people? When I was in high school, the war was finally over, and in 45 things kind of got settled. And our Sunday school teacher at Spurgeon Memorial Church in Santa Ana was a man by the name of Colonel Campbell, and Colonel Campbell was General MacArthur's personal aide. That was a great experience that I got out of going to church in high school, plus all the great fellowship with the whole congregation. And they took us kids in, and we were just part of the family. That was a great joy. But then another joy that you experience is just being with people when you worship. And worship not always is in a big church. Worship is, when I was in the military, I wound up with the 14th Armored Cavalry Regiment, and I served on holding the Russians back on the east-west border at the height of the Cold War. So when I was assigned to that unit in 1962, then I didn't up from down, but I wanted to do the best job, be the best soldier I could be. Well, first Sunday out there, we didn't have, Sunday was off. We were on our base. And of course I went to church, because we always went to church. Well, who did I meet in church? Our company commander, great man that fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and then our first sergeant. He turned out to be, was Archie Moore's, the boxer, his sparring partner. Great Christian people, great examples to follow. And then worship, obviously wasn't in a crowd. We had three line troops, and we had to guard the border or patrol the border to keep the Russians on the other side. And each troop took a turn for 1 month on the border. So every 3 months we had 1 month patrolling the border. And there was a worship service, not just on the chapel and on the base. The chaplain came out every Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, and we had a service. And most of the time it was out in the snow or in whatever weather under the pine trees. And we had a tent to crawl under then when the weather was really bad. But I don't remember what we talked about or what the chaplain said, but the thing that stayed with me is gathering with Christian guys under these circumstances. And then because of the contacts, doing my job well and everything else, I got picked to be with President Kennedy, and the word was out to send one person from every unit that was in Europe to have lunch with him. So the colonel says, well, this guy made the Soldier of the Month, so he must be our best soldiers. Send him. So that was another great joy to sit and listen to President Kennedy and watch him in all the way he was, and got a really close look at the great guy, great man, great president. Another great joy that I look back on now from coming out of going to a worship service. And so then that brings us back to a lot more joys that you get when you go to church, worship with God's people. It's tough out there, and we need to go have a time somewhere where we can be at ease, at peace, with people that all follow the same. And my walk with God, I was born that way, going to church, listening to services all along. But so I really wasn't too worried about it, but till the question finally came, are you really a Christian? Are you a follower, thick or thin, no matter what? I had to settle that in about late teens. And once I got that, and then of course marriage and all that came after that, I met Kathy. She was a roommate at Fresno State with my younger sister. We got married in church. Nice little chapel in Manteca, California. And another great joy when Kathy, when the door opened coming up, we all lined up, the guys at the altar, and then the door opened and Kathy showed up with on her father's arms, and I just almost blew my mind. There was unbelievable joy out of that experience. And then, make a long story short, and then we got married, moved to Porterville, because by that time I was pretty much involved into farming, growing citrus, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And so we were looking for a church to attend, and we wound up over here at Port Naz, and never left it because it was such joy just to be with people in Sunday school and all of that and serving. And the music, Colleen's music. Colleen's, you're sent from heaven. You are, at least to me. Really appreciate that. And then the opportunities here then once at church, they all bring joys to our life in various ways. I enjoy giving, I enjoy helping, I enjoy, but any which way, but particularly in the monetary sense, I seem to be especially gifted in generosity type giving. I do as much as we can under the circumstance, and being part of this church, we can see the opportunities, and we have the opportunities to respond. So then every time we can and see what that all brings about is joyful. And then just serving God in whatever He directs you. And He won't leave you alone once you're with Him and you partner up. He'll find something for you to do somewheres. And that's also the thing that we enjoy and here. But then we still have to live in a world that's full of confusion and everything else. But if you walk with God, there is no confusion. You know where you stand, you know what you have to do, and God gives you then the understanding to do that and get away from all of that. Just like Jesus, big example to me is Jesus and his temptations. And he says, look at what's out there besides just God, and serving Him. And Jesus says, no, the most precious thing in this life is serving God. And then the devil said, well, look what I got. He says, you don't have anything. Get out of here. And so doing good keeps you from doing bad because you focus on doing the right thing. Well, those are all so many blessings that come our way that it just, the whole deal is a joy. That's all I can say.